Hello, Chelsea. My name is Harris. I'm going to be your host today, along with my two other co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Victoria. Hi, my name is Jabin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
First things first, let's start off with a basic question. How was your day, Chelsea?
My day was pretty good.
That's great. What did you do today? Anything
Anything exciting? I went to swim practice at the AC, and that was fun.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I've been at work all day. So I spent a little bit of time in the lab, but I have mostly been on Zoom all day.
Oh, I hate being on Zoom all day. I'm sort of in person sort of person.
Me too. But
Yeah,
hey, we'll be back in person in a few weeks, which is good.
I hope so. Jave and Victoria, how was you guys' day?
Pretty good.
That's great. What did you guys do today?
First day of the semester. It was a little nerve-wracking, but it's really nerve-wracking. Like we have like new classes, kind of like for me, like I was placed in a different class. Kind of got a little sad about that because I can't see my friends. But
Yeah, for those that don't know, we recently just switched to our next semester, and our previous semester isn't usually the same as we're used to. It was in a quadmester format, so it would be half our day would be in a 2.5 hour class. We'd have a lunch break and then a second 2.5 hour class, and then so on and so forth for almost, it's been like 5 months.
Yeah, like I'm not sure about.
It's been
it's been like 5 months.
Yeah, and now we're switching back to normal. I don't even know what normal is anymore, but we're getting there. Let's sort of dive into our conversation, Chelsea. My first question I have to ask you is, what is the U of T trash team?
Yeah, the U of T trash team is an organization of students, early career researchers, so grad students and research staff, and then myself and my colleagues who co-founded it. And basically, we wanted to start an organization that was focused on increasing waste literacy in the community, which just means having people in the community understand the plastic pollution issue and basically just issues around the materials we use, how they become waste, what we do with them when they do. We also wanted to have a way to use science, to have some sort of platform that uses science to inform policy changes or behavior changes or something that would help reduce the issue of plastic pollution. And we wanted to have fun doing it. So we've got about 85 volunteers signed up right now. That includes students from U of T, from Ryerson, from York, that work together on the issue of plastic through multiple things, whether it's school programs or science projects on the waterfront, or even right now we're doing a home waste audit in the community fully on Zoom.
That is big. Congratulations.
That's crazy.
Thank you. We are almost 5. We started in 2017. We'll be 5 years old in 1 month.
Oh my, congratulations.
Thank you.
So how would somebody go about becoming a volunteer for the U of T trash team?
Yeah, so we hope that it's easy. We welcome everybody. We have a website, so you can go there and find our email there, or you can email me or Susan Debrett-Sunny and let us know you want to be part of the trash team, and then we get you signed up. We send people welcome documents, kind of tell people who we are, what we do, and then people can join. And people, when they join, they really get to choose how involved they want to be. So some of our volunteers come to one cleanup a year. Some of our volunteers help plan whole new programs that we launch in the community.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
I wanted to ask, I'm sorry, your cleanups, are they only located at U of T, or are they in many other locations?
They're in many other locations. So we used to have 2 cleanups. One was on the Don River, and it was at the same time as the, what is it called? Paddle the Don. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where they raise the water level of the Don and you kayak down.
Never.
And so we used to have a cleanup there, and we would be at sites along the Don River. And then we had a second cleanup at U of T. But with COVID, we've sort of switched. And so now we do one and we just pick a site maybe on the beach or the river. But our second one every September, we do the Urban Litter Challenge. And we, instead of having it be at U of T, we now have it at anywhere between 10 to 15 different sites around the city, depending on where volunteers live. So we've hosted them from all the way in Waterloo to all the way in, I think, Ajax out east. And basically, the idea is that anywhere you are on a watershed. And so cleaning up anywhere is useful. And so we have it on in parks all around the city. We started this to be socially distanced with COVID, but we liked it so much that I think we'll do it every year because we have a bigger footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so great.
That's great.
Wow. Okay, so moving on to the next question. When your team looks to increase literacy with material consumption, how do you even begin? Like, what does one day of UFT trash team program look like?
Yeah, how do we begin? That's a really good question. So one thing I think that's really important to us is we don't ask somebody to go from who they are today to zero waste tomorrow. And in fact, we're not asking anybody to go zero waste. We truly believe that every little baby step makes a difference. And we really do believe that literacy or education is powerful. Knowledge is power. So really what we do is we work with people who are interested in taking any step that they can. So what does a day at the U of T trash team look like? It really depends on the program we're involved in at the time, which has to do with seasons. So in the summer, a day of the U of T trash team might look like us quantifying and characterizing litter in our sea bins or our trash traps on the waterfront. It might look like us doing a cleanup. It might look like us putting scientific sensors in the water to see where plastic goes. But in the school year, especially in the winter, a day at the U of T trash team might look like going into a 5th grade classroom and teaching younger students about waste and helping them understand the issue to hopefully help them solve the problem.
Oh, wow. I was just curious, how do the scientific sensors work?
So we have, they work very much like cell phone technology. So we bought these little GPS tags and we put them into water bottles so that they're just like a normal water bottle, but we put a tag in it and we throw them into the water. And because it pings to the satellites every hour, it tells us where it is. So we can create a map and see kind of where that bottle travels in the lake over a week period. And a couple of them left the harbor. And so we had one bottle go to New York, one bottle go to Hamilton Harbor. Most of them stayed local and we were able to collect them.
Is this like invention, like do the U of T students like make that sensor?
They helped create the bottles, but the sensors we purchased from a company named Global Star.
Oh, okay.
But we are working with U of T engineering students right now to create a new type of trash trap. So we have 4 engineering students who are inventing a trap that would fit well in the harbor that Ports Toronto can put in a slip and it will collect litter and we can quantify and characterize it. So that's kind of the only sort of invention thus far we've worked on.
Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So going into my next question, in a perfect world, what would the average family be doing to ensure that our garbage isn't harming the earth?
I like that question. What would the average family do? So I think the average family would become aware of the problem, but most importantly, become knowledgeable about how waste is managed in the city that they live in and the type of home that they live in. So that as a family, you can make choices about things that you buy to try to reduce the items that go in your landfill by either shifting them to the recycle bin, buying things that are recyclable, or things that are reusable. And so, I think some people have this idea that being zero waste is expensive because a lot of the zero waste stores are expensive. They're a little bit boutique. But the reality is, if you know what you can put in your recycle bin, you can simply just pick the yogurt that comes in the right color container that can be recycled, or pick the yogurt that comes in the container that's recyclable. So not the flexible packaging. And in the city of Toronto, not a black package, because the black package can't be recycled because of our technology that we use to sort the material. So just by understanding the waste stream locally, you can make purchases that reduce what goes to landfill in your own homes.
It's a great question. I also like your meaning behind this movement, I should say. I also wanted to ask a sort of general question. What made you want to push forward with this? With the
The issue of working on issue of plastic pollution, or the trash team specifically?
trash team specifically.
Trash team specifically, yeah. So, this comes back to when I was a student. I was finishing up graduate school and I didn't really know what I wanted to, like, quote unquote be when I grew up. And I didn't think I wanted to be a professor, which is funny. I really thought I wanted to run a nonprofit, or at least work for one. I was really interested in being at an organization where I could either still do science or use science to really inform change. But I got an opportunity to do some kind of practice being a professor, and I loved it. I loved mentoring students. I loved teaching. And the reality is, when you run your own research lab, you're kind of running your own little small business, and you can do whatever you want as long as you have time for it. So my friends and I, so Susan and Rafaela, who co-founded the team with me, we came up with this idea where we could basically start our own sort of nonprofit, but from within the university, to work with students, youth, to be able to make a difference. So it was kind of like this colliding of two worlds. And so with students, we've been able to inform policy and been able to use science to get it out into the world of policy. But doing it with students, I think, is more satisfying than doing it without, because the reality is I can't do this forever, but by training the next generations, the work can continue forever.
Right, exactly.
And it's inspiring, because as you get older, you get more, what's the word? Jaded, I guess. Whereas it's inspiring to work with young people who still have all the optimism and the ideas for how you can make change.
Yeah, no,
Totally.
I'd love to even come by and volunteer, even temporarily. Like
You should.
Oh my God, we should.
You can.
Yes.
Reach out.
Realistically, how can people living in major city centers like us in Toronto practice sustainable waste management?
Yeah, realistically, through doing what I suggest the average home do. Honestly, if you just have an understanding of sort of where these materials go, if you actually produce at the least amount of waste that you can, just by carrying materials around that you can carry. So like I carry around a water bottle all the time. I have silverware sitting in my office, so I don't have to get cutlery. Buying materials that can go in the recycle bin, buying materials that can go in the green bin, really just diverting less waste from landfill. Obviously, taking the TTC or biking also helps live a more sustainable life. Also, kind of biking is nice because you're outside getting some exercise. Yeah, the unfortunate part is a lot of the things that are unsustainable are also super convenient. So sometimes the change is hard, which is why I think, a little bit at a time is okay.
You think was the hardest change you've made to your lifestyle?
Good question. Why can't I think of the hardest change I've made to my lifestyle? But I wonder if the reason I can't is because the really hard ones I sometimes didn't change. So I don't own a car. And that was a big change. Sometimes I wish I did, but I don't. I haven't owned one for a long time, maybe like 8 years. Okay, here's one that I haven't quit and I should. I have a real addiction to like gummy bears and gummy candy, and they tend to come in soft plastic, flexible packaging, and I have yet to quit those things. But I think it's okay because I think it's everything in moderation, right? So like, I love the gummy bear, the coffee shot mug, that type of thing. So everyone has vices. The other thing that I think is hard is I've tried to not buy brand new clothes, and I found that I struggled with that. Like I can get a lot of things in a used clothing store, but every once in a while there's something I need and I struggle to find my size, and I end up buying the new things.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think businesses and like corporations like Tim Hortons and Starbucks are like doing a good job to be environmentally friendly?
I think it depends on the business. I think they can all do a better job. I heard a rumor, and I don't know if it's true, that Tim Hortons might be switching to reusable cups in BC. But I only just heard that yesterday. I think, and when it comes to waste, I think almost all cafes, except for those that really like, there's a place called Cord on my side of town. So I live on the east side on Danforth, and they don't even have any takeout cups or anything. It's all reusables. But that's hard. So I think all of these types of places could do better at not just accepting them and filling them. And especially during COVID, you have a lot of places not taking them and filling them. And I think a lot of them are realizing you can do it safely. But also, even if you just ask somebody, do you want a mug, versus expecting that they do, or giving them a discount if they do bring their mug, or making that clear to the customer. So I think everyone could do better.
That's very true. Baby steps.
Yeah. It's hard for big corporations. I understand that, but it can be done. And the consumers also have to be willing, right? It is inconvenient to walk around with cups and silverware all the time, but and it's probably easier for somebody who carries around a bag or a purse.
So if nothing is done about unsustainable waste management, what do you think is the worst case scenario for the earth?
Yeah, so unfortunately, if we continue business as usual now and we don't make new changes based on like where we were in 2020, and the reality is some waste issues have gotten worse with COVID, we are on track to increase the amount of waste that goes into aquatic ecosystems every year by almost threefold, or as much as threefold. Unfortunately, there are places in our Great Lakes even, but places around the world who already have a concentration of microplastics that we think, based on the science, is already putting animals at risk. And unfortunately, large plastic debris is already causing harm to a lot of wildlife. So a worst case scenario is we do nothing, and we really do take over all extra space by landfill and really heavily pollute our ocean and our freshwater. A best case scenario is that we actually implement an international agreement on plastic pollution in a few weeks at UNEA, which they're going to be negotiating at United Nations Environment, and that that international agreement actually has teeth that really shifts our plastic economy from one where we use materials and waste them to one where we keep them in this circular economy and we reuse the materials that we produce again and again and again.
You already had your input on what certain places like Tim Hortons or what did you say, Starbucks?
Yeah.
Any of these places could do. I had a follow-up question. What contracts or policies, other than just giving discounts or just encouraging bringing mugs and reusable things, can be put in place for people to sort of be more encouraged and feel more
like incentive?
Yeah.
I think when it comes to these like cafes and restaurants, the city of Toronto is actually considering, so first they were going to put forward a voluntary measure that says we support the voluntary behavior from these types of places to A, first of all, take reusable materials, but B, to try to exchange the materials you have and only have reusables. They have considered making it the law that all cafes and restaurants have to take them, meaning fill them. I don't think they're thinking about making it the law that they cannot have any of these single-use materials at this moment. But there are smaller companies that create these reusable materials, and they have contracts with the cafes and restaurants where they'll drop them off and they'll wash them and bring them back. And so there are things, big kinds of resources and systems put in place for this. The other thing I would say for incentives, because one of you said incentives, is we could have container deposit schemes for some of the materials that are more valuable plastics and more likely to be recyclable. So just like you can bring your cans and bottles to the beer store and get money back, if we could do that with plastic bottles and milk jugs and other plastic materials, that would also increase and improve our recycling in the city.
I had one more question. it's sort of a general question about you. And was pollution and waste management sort of something you always were interested in researching as a child, or was it something that just grew on you over time?
So yes and no. So as a kid, I was always interested in waste. So I actually have a speech from the 6th grade about paper or plastic bags. And I used to volunteer with my family for Keep America Beautiful. I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona. So I was always really interested in waste. I don't think I was interested in researching it. I think I was interested in doing something about it. I didn't realize I wanted to be a scientist until I went to university, and it wasn't until my 4th year, 3rd or 4th year. So my university was a bit windy, and I changed my major many times. And I also went to 3 different undergrad universities because I was doing something, and then I dropped out and went and worked for a while. And then I came back to a community college, and then I switched majors, and then I went to UC San Diego. But once I realized I could make a living doing research and realized the power of research for informing change, I was completely hooked. So I would say waste since I was a kid, yes, but I didn't realize I could make a career in it. Science, not until I was 21.
Wow. That's
so it's okay if you don't know what you want to do yet.
I was also going to ask if there was a child or someone around my age. I'm 16, by the way. I haven't said this earlier, but someone ask you for help or just sort of advice if they wanted to follow the same route that you did, what advice would you give them?
So I would give anybody who's young and thinking about their career the advice to, first of all, don't be shy about starting things at an early age and trying them, and knowing that even if you try them, you might realize you love them, or if you try them, you might realize you don't. It's never too early to get, especially at the age of 16, right? To get a job doing one of those things, trying it out, to volunteering in a lab, to going out and volunteering somewhere else, trying to get your feet wet with the things you're interested in. The other thing I think is critical is networking, which I know can be nerve-wracking, but talking to people and asking them about their careers and asking them what they do and asking them about it, getting to know people. You never know who you've met on the street one day that may be the person who helps you kind of open the door to the next thing. And then have an open mind, right? Like you might not realize exactly what it is you love until you sort of fall into it. And so kind of having this open mind about trying new things and being open to new things.
That was great. All the questions and all the answers that you've given.
One more, if I can give you one more.
Oh,
if somebody tells you can't do something, use it as motivation to do it.
Of course.
Of course. I live by that one too.
Yeah, don't believe them.
Anyways, I wanted to thank you for your time as I wrap this interview up.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And we can just say it's been a wonderful Thursday, right?
Yeah, it has. That was a great interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. And if any of you want to come out this summer and volunteer, we are happy to have you.
Sure. I will contact everyone I can.
Yeah.
I'll try to get there. 100%.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Anyways, I just wanted to wish you all the best and have a great night, Chelsea.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, great. That was a great Zoom. That was a great near half an hour of information regarding climate, pollution, waste management. And I just want to ask what you guys learned today and where you took away from Chelsea.
For me, like, I found it interesting when she was talking about the scientific sensors, like the way that she says, like, they put in the GPA or something in the water. Like, I was like, wow, I didn't know they had, like, that advanced technology. Yeah, that hooked me, especially when she brought up big names like New York. Right, yeah, like how they just, like, swim away or something. Yeah, that was cool.
For me, it was talking about just how average families can go to zero waste and how it doesn't take that much. Like, you don't have to completely change your whole lifestyle.
Right.
You can just change what products and what type of like packaging you're buying.
And just like what you're using.
And what you're using. Yeah.
I feel like people think there's so little that we could do.
Right.
But there's actually a lot we can do, to be honest.
There is a lot.
There's a lot.
And like she said, it's just like baby steps, you know? Just like the little things.
The little things.
The little things always like will lead up to more.
And they do like matter a lot.
Yeah. And you can like change your habits, do that too.
I couldn't believe she started like researching so late though. She was speaking as if like she was learning about it her whole life or just grew up into it, you know? But what really hooked me was when, I don't know, I feel like it was her background story in general and how she just, she's inspirational. She just said to follow your dreams, even if you're 16, 15, no matter how old you are.
And having a passion for that like so young.
Right.
That was really inspirational.
That was inspirational. I feel like there's so much we took away from it in so little time. I wish we could have got her here, you know?
Yeah.
Man, but that was a hell of a week. That was a hell of a day, a hell of a Thursday. And me, Jabin, Victoria, we're gonna sign off, and we're gonna see you guys next Thursday, hopefully.
See you guys soon.
Bye.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of our content. And if you like more of us, make sure to visit our website or follow us on our social media platforms.